massage, as we will teach, is something that goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. And the philosophy of it is based on the premise of caring enough about people to want to do something for them. The old Japanese customs were not quite that humanitarian. But the man who set this particular system, brought it into being and taught it to us, was very much inclined in that direction. And because of that, he dedicated his life to those whom he served. And those of us who were fortunate enough to study with him have followed that example. Now, we teach Japanese massage as a way of helping people, a way of cheering people up, a way of giving them something to have so that they can give to others and help others too. It's based really on the principle of brotherly love, and he explained this to us. He said brotherly love, as we teach it, is like a holy ground. The more you dig out and give away, the bigger it gets. Okay, the more you give of yourself to others and do for them, the more you have to give, and the bigger you get because of it. You earn friends, and you conquer enemies, because people who don't like you, once you've done them a favor and shown that you care, they change their mind and become your friend. So, you conquer your enemy and gain a friend. And that's one of the principles behind this particular system. And with the first of these massage techniques, which is the fingertip massage of the back on each side of the spine, not on the spine, but on each side of the spine. And I'll demonstrate it up here first, and I want you to pair off and do it. And I would suggest that you pick a different partner at every class. If you do that, you'll learn much, much faster and more thoroughly than if you use the same partner all the time. Because if you only know how to work on one back, when you get somebody else's back that's real hard or real soft or some other way, you're going to find that you have problems. In massage, consequently, I want the person that I work on to have his head toward my left side. If I were on that other side, I would have to work right-handed. So if you're right-handed, you kneel beside the person's right arm. If you're left-handed, you kneel beside their left arm. And the massage is done with the flat part of the fingers, not the tips, but the flat part of the fingers. And you start on the side of the back toward which their head is facing. Now he's facing toward me, so I work on this side of the back first. You work right beside the backbone, all the way down from the base of the skull clear down to the hip bone. When you run into the hip bone, start over again. Do this on one side 2 or 3 times. Then with the heel of the hand, do the same thing. And again, it's a rotary motion like this. Keep your arm relaxed. It isn't a tense motion. It isn't a fast motion. It isn't too slow a motion, because that too is tense. It's a relaxed swinging motion. Just like you dance, or like you'd like to dance, one of the two. Okay. And after you've worked down one side of the back this way 2 or 3 times with the fingers, the heel of the hand, then turn the head over the other direction and do it on the other side. The direction is the same, just like you'd be scraping sand. Clockwise for left-handers, counterclockwise for right-handers. Work all the way down 2 or 3 times with the fingertips, then with the heel of the hand. Okay, pair off. It's rather tiresome leaning over with nothing to lean on. With your free hand, place it right on their hip or right across the back, right at the hips there. Then you can lean on that hand and you're relaxed to massage with the other one. So put your fingertips on that spot Now you don't have to press hard, just press gently. And when you work on the back or the neck or any place and you come across a place that's sore and it hurts them, there'll be a slight fluttering vibration of this nerve right here. So, by going down the back this way, just by feeling this nerve, I can tell where the sore spots is. Now she's got a sore spot right here because you can feel the vibration in these nerves. That's how you tell when you become skilled at it. But until you can determine that, just say, well, now if I press too hard, let me know. So when you start pressing too hard, they tell you, okay, ease out. And press just as hard as you can without making them uncomfortable. Thank you. With the fingertips on either side, not the tips, but this part of the fingers, the palm of the fingertips, you massage in a rotary circle from the base of the skull down to the shoulders. Now what's causing her headache right at the moment is a vertebra that's out of place right here. I don't want you to try putting these back in place until you have learned thoroughly how to do it. In Japanese massage, we know how, but we don't want you trying it until you've been taught thoroughly. Right there's the vertebra. Now, just by leaving her by herself, the headache would go away after a while, but I'll show you how to stop it instantly. Massage these muscles till they're all loose and all relaxed.
Professor, are you moving in one direction on that?
Pardon?
Do you move from the head down?
Yes. Work from the base of the skull down to the shoulders. Now, it doesn't make any difference whether you go this way or this way, whichever is the most comfortable for you. Then after you've massaged until it's all loose, place a knee on either side of your knees on either side of her head, just clear of the shoulders, so there's room enough for your fingers in between the shoulders and your knees. Place your fingers like so on the outside, not this way, so your fingers are pointing directly toward your other hand, right through here. Tense your arms. Don't squeeze hard with your arms, but keep them tense. Then squeeze slowly with the legs. Now when I press hard enough so that it's uncomfortable, lift a finger. Okay? Squeeze slowly. Then release slowly. Now if I would release suddenly, her head would feel like it's exploding. Press slowly. Release slowly. Press slowly. Where's the other hand located? Underneath the base of her skull.
Do you apply pressure with the bottom hand also?
Pull up with the bottom hand, press down with the lower one, the upper one.
Most of the pressure is coming right from here then.
On the bottom, it's coming through around the back, right around the back of the neck, like that, the back of the head. Okay, your headache is all gone. It's that simple. Get rid of the headache. Okay, now I want you to do it. Through your arms, through your legs and their head, which relaxes the muscles inside the brain. And relaxing those muscles is what takes the headache away. Okay, do it. Have them rest their head right in your hand. Then with your fingertips, you do a kind of a rotary massage like this, all the way down to the shoulders. Yes. Fingers and thumb. Now you don't press hard, but you work out all of the tight spots until it's all relaxed and nice and soft. There's no cramped muscles or anything in the neck. Then when you finish with that, now turn the other direction, you place one hand behind the head this way. Now I can't use this hand like that because I got it crippled, so I have to use it flat. But bring it up like this with the fingers pointing up over the top, and this one in front with the fingers pointing up. Bring your elbows up until they're level, and then press. Slowly. Have them lift a finger or touch you with a finger to let you know that it's too hard, then slowly release. Do this once or twice or 3 times. Now to balance yourself, put one foot behind them like that. They can lean against that foot relaxed. And you can put your chin right over their head, and you can squeeze like so. And relax. And slowly squeeze and relax. Then again, massage their neck gently with your fingertips. That takes the headache away too. Yes?
Would you use different types of massages to relieve different kinds of headaches?
No, this is for any kind of headache. Yes.
You find a particularly hard spot.
Then you keep massaging it until it becomes soft.
That one spot.
Is the heel of the hand is right above the eyebrows like so, and the fingers are spread so that you're pressing the whole head. Now the head is made up of several bone sections, and you want to compress them a little and then relax them and compress them a little and relax them, and this relaxes the nerves and muscles inside the skull in your brain where the pain is and causes it to stop. Okay. Is there somebody here who's tired who would like to have Okay, move up here where you can see this guy's feet. I'm going to massage his feet with my feet, or with my toes, I should say. And I want you to watch. Starting at the tips of the toes, I don't put much pressure on his feet, but I just dig in with the toes and take tiny steps about the width of a pencil and work up to the heels. Then start over. Now, if you have a chair here to balance yourself, that's probably easier for you till you learn how to relax. Work up the toe, up the feet, with your toes doing the digging, just like when you're 4 or 5 years old, you used to like to dig in the mud with your toes, okay? Do it now. That's one art that you learned a long time ago. Okay, you're rested enough. Okay, do it. Now you don't massage with the big toe, you massage with the 4 little toes, and the little toe just laps over on the inside. I mean the big toe just laps over on the inside. One thing that we have not emphasized during this class so far, which you have done without even having it mentioned, is concentration. You must concentrate completely on what you're doing when you're giving a massage, or it's practically worthless. When you concentrate on it, then your energy combines with the person's energy whom you're working on and rests them or relieves them of pain or whatever it is you're trying to do. Now, another thing I would like to say, there's a whole lot of just plain unadulterated faith mixed up in this type of massage. And those of you who are religious people know that in your Bible it tells you that if you have faith, as much as a grain of mustard seed, you can move a mountain. Okay, it doesn't take very much faith then to heal people, does it? With Japanese massage, you can do it. Just believe in it. Be absolutely certain that it's going to happen. And it does.
The person will be able to benefit from it better, I guess, is when you really know what you're doing, or you...
That's right. You will benefit when you get more familiar with it. The person that you're working on will benefit more from it. One of the reasons for that is because a great deal of massage is done with the mind, not only with the fingertips and the toes and so forth, but with the mind. Your concentration forces your energy into the person that you're working on and rests them and relaxes them and helps them. And you can heal with it by using your, call it spiritual strength if you want to. Your inner strength. You use that when you give massage and you help other people with it. And it benefits them, and at the same time it makes you stronger. Those of you who go in for exercises know that the more you get tired and lift weights, the stronger you get. The more you run, the more you can run. Okay? The more you help people, the more you can help people. The or you have to help them with. So it helps you as well as them. Any other questions? Thank you. I'll see you next. Came to the door and he could hit in the nose and his nose was bleeding and he was pretty bad shape and he was crying and having a terrible time. And she looked at him and smiled and says, "Come over, Johnny, and I'll stop it for you." When he came over with a little bit of misgivings, he didn't know what she was going to do, but she used this art to stop the nosebleed in about 5 or 10 seconds. Said, "Now you can go play," and he went and played, and everything in that room was just deathly still. Not a whisper, not a word. Nothing was said until the lady went outside. And the kids turned around to each other and said, "What is she, a witch?" Because she had done it so magically that it looked like magic. And believe me, it is magic. It works beautifully. Turn just a little bit this way. Okay. Now this side of his nose is bleeding quite profusely. So I place my finger just barely touching the nose like that and just barely close it. Now if you want to know how much pressure, press on your own nose and hum. Now when it begins to sound nasal, that's hard enough. Not way over here, just barely close it. Okay. Now you notice that finger is shaking. In my age, your finger will shake a little bit. But let me show you how to stop it. Take this other finger, put it in front of your eye with your eye open and touch the eyelid, not the eyelashes, but the eyelid, like so. Now watch that hand when I do this. See any quiver? Do that for 5 seconds and the nosebleed will stop. Now, why? 2 or 3 reasons. One is, he is concentrating on what I'm doing. And I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. And there's nothing that 2 people or 3 people together cannot do with their minds. This is more mental than it is physical. Place the finger up there, now it'll shake. Yours will shake even if you're 16 or 17 years old. But put the other finger up in front of your eye with your eye open. Don't touch the eyeball, but touch the eyelid. Then there won't be a quiver in that hand over there. 5 seconds to 10 seconds, the nosebleed will stop.
Where should they look?
Where did they look?
Yeah.
Doesn't make a difference where they're looking. You're concentrating on their nose, not on where they're looking. Now, a particular one, on a trip I took to Las Vegas to an ABU convention about 1.5 years ago. I was riding on the plane and there was a lady there that had a little girl, 4 or 5 years old, and that girl was just scared to death of that plane. If she could have climbed through the window, she would have jumped because she was sure that she would eat her. Her parents, her mother, couldn't comfort her. The stewardesses couldn't comfort her. Nobody could. And after about 5 minutes, I turned around to the mother. I said, "Would you like to have me stop her crying?" She looked at me like I was some kind of a freak, wondering if I was going to use a hammer to do it or what. I smiled. I said, "No, it's very easy to stop her and comfortably." And I said, "She will feel better." She said, "Well, I wish somebody could." So I reached over and took hold of her thumb and pressed on a nerve. She stopped her crying. She said, "You're in my dinner." I said, "Well, I didn't mean to hurt you, but I just wanted you to see something really wonderful outside that window." She said, "What?" So I said, "You come over here and I'll show you." So I went over there, and fortunately, there was a herd of cattle down there we could see on the ground. I said, "Look at all the cows down there." And then she called her mom over. She said, Mommy, look at the cows, look at the cows. And from then on, during the whole trip, when we were up 29,000, 30,000 feet, she was still showing her mom rabbits and things she was seeing down on the ground. She had a ball. And the rest of that trip, she was having fun. And after it was over with, and we started to leave the plane, when one of the stewardesses, "Wait just a minute, you step over here." I wonder what I'd done. But I was being pulled out of the line for her, but I stood over there. Everybody gone out. She said, "Will you show us how to do that hysteric thing, stopping kids having hysterics?" She said, "We have it quite often." She said, it would be wonderful if you could show us how to do that. Okay, I'm going to show you how. When the person has hysterics, you come up here. You take hold of their thumb, and on the inside of the thumb, just even with that moon at the top of the thumbnail, you press your thumbnail in there. Now, when it hurts, you let me know. There's a nerve right there that you don't have to press very hard on until it hurts. That hurts in there. Okay. You press on that nerve with your thumbnail, and that will command their attention right now. And they'll forget about crying, and they'll forget about what they're worried about, what scares them, or what they're mad about. They'll look down and hey, that hurts. But the hysterics will stop. Yeah.
After the hurt went away, they quit thinking about that when they cry again?
I don't believe they would. They'll feel too foolish to start in again after it's all over with. Can't find it, I'll show you where it is.
Is it on both sides too?
Both thumbs on the inside of the... to stop the pain of a girl's cramps when her period comes, menstrual cramps. Okay, come up here where you can look. Here's the back of the leg right here. Here's the side of the leg right here, down to the ankle bone. There's a strip about that wide, okay? You massage right in the center, starting down here, at the ankle. You hold the foot in your hand, and then you roll your thumb, making steps about half the width of your thumb, and you work up till you get to the top of the gastrocnemius muscle, the calf muscle. Now, you don't have to press too hard. Now, when these pains are real bad, then this part of the leg right here will be swollen and very, very tender, so that you press like that and it hurts. So you can use your left hand on both legs or your right hand on either or both. Now you pick a spot halfway between the Achilles tendon and the ankle bone there, halfway between, and you work right up that angle right there, right up that corner. And you work up this way, 5 or 6 times on either leg, and the pain will go away. You'll find that one of the girls' legs is very sore and the other one isn't. That's because for a month. The next month, this side will be affected. Now, you don't know which side is going to be affected. When you start to work on a person, they'll say, well, I'm having terrific pain. Will you stop it? Okay, work on both of them, because it certainly won't hurt the other leg. And you're sure of getting the right one. Now, is there anyone here who has congested lungs that you'd like to have them loosened up a little bit? Fine, come up here and we'll help you with it. Muscles and nerves are from the bottom of the scapula down to the bottom of the ribs, this area right here. It's about as wide as on a person this size, as wide as a real wide hand right across here. Now the congestion is on the inside and you can't reach it by probing, but you can by concussion. I'm not hitting hard, but it's a cupped hand. When you do this on a person that really needs it, it's better on the bare skin than it is on cloth, but nevertheless, this is the method of getting the concussion down into the lungs to loosen them up. Pretty soon this will probably start you coughing, but when it does, it'll start bringing up some phlegm as well. By pounding on a nerve right here, how to start a person's heart when they have heart failure. So don't pound on that portion of the back, it's on the side, on the ribs. Instead of shouting at a person, you can do the same thing by making a funnel of your hands and shouting, and they can feel it all the way through, something like this. Feel that go through? Feel that all the way through you. And do that about 10 times, and that'll loosen up the lungs tremendously. That isn't a scream, it's a shout using volume and concussion. Like that. It's a concussion yell. It's to help people and to give you the ability to help somebody else. I hope you do it because it's fun and you get more out of it than they do when you help someone like this. So, thank you and good night. Up to the heel. Then you start over. Take tiny steps about the width of a pencil. And you work on the bottoms of the feet. This is a massage that you can do in a public place without attracting too much attention. Stand up, please. Stand right here on your right foot and put your knee here and your other foot over here. Face that direction. Slide forward a little. Now see, you can do this on a chair. It's just as good a massage here, like so. If the person is really tired and exhausted, this will help rest them better than anything I know. Okay? Do it. It affects and rests the complete body. It's beneficial for the whole body. That's the objective of this particular massage. From the floor, you never massage the center of it. Because if you do, a bruise is coagulated blood. And if you massage the center of it, you might break loose some of those pieces of coagulated blood and get them into the bloodstream and get back to the heart and clog the heart up and kill the person. So instead, start massaging around the outside edge like this. A rotary motion around the outside edge. And as the swelling goes down, you work toward the center. Kind of a spiral. You don't press hard. It's just a continuous rotary motion working toward the center. And as you do that in the spiral working toward the center, as the swelling goes away, the new blood will come in and take out the coagulated blood a cell at a time instead of in big lumps, and carry it back into the system where it'll be discharged and new blood take its place. So you're working in rotary motion from the outside working in, like so. And when all the swelling is gone and the bruise itself becomes real soft, you find that almost all the coloring has gone too. We had one of our jiu-jitsu students here who, when she started to take jiu-jitsu, she didn't know how to fall, and she felt real tense, and she got a big bruise on her hip about the size of my hand, or maybe larger. And she said that the bruises were awfully slow in healing for her. And so I told her that we could massage that and take it away. So I started massaging around the outside of it, and it was as black as my trousers. It was real black. I started massaging around the outside edge and took about, 20 minutes, maybe 20, 25 minutes, something like that, 30 minutes maybe. And when we finished, there was a little tiny spot about that big around that you could see color. The rest of it, the color had all gone away except in just a slight flushed condition. But the black and blue part was almost entirely gone. And the next day, she said, I feel no discomfort at all. There's a spot right there, this little bit sore right in the center, but the rest of it is all gone, and you can do that. But remember, when you massage bruises, don't massage right on the bruise, because that is dangerous. You can very possibly do real damage to the person, because a bruise is coagulated blood. There's no actual pain that they can't take easily, and that way you can work into the center of a bruise, and you can just about wipe it out entirely just with one application of fingertip massage. Now, you don't use the tips of your fingers, you use the flat of the fingers or the heel of the hand. Questions? Yes. The longer it has been there, the longer it will take to get rid of it. Now, if you have a bruise, a big black bruise that's been there for 2 weeks, it'll probably take you 2 or 3 days to a week to get rid of it. If it's been there just 1 day, you can probably get rid of it in a few minutes. So the longer it's been there, the more solidified and coagulated that blood is, so it takes longer to break it down into individual cells that the bloodstream can carry away and dispose of. But you can do it. It takes longer. By the movements of the body, there'll be enough friction there to break down the congestion and let the blood get in and take away the damaged cells. So all we do with massage is to help nature. We break down those congested areas, and the cells that are black, we break them up into tiny, minute particles, and the blood carries them away and takes care of them and replaces the cells with new. That way we just speed nature's work up by many, many times. Something that left alone would take a week, you can cure in half an hour. It's worth it. That's right. Same thing on any bruise, whether it's a black eye or any other kind. And with your fingertips, you can wipe a black eye out lots better than you can with a beefsteak. Yeah, if you got a black eye, work around the edges of it. And then after you've done that, cup your hand like this and draw it a little bit. Okay, press hard, but you keep your hand very tense. So tense that it vibrates, just as tense as you can hold it. When you hold it that way for a few moments, it's probably going to take the hand off. That'll heat it up. All of your energy goes right to that spot and heats it up just like a heating pad. Then massage again, then heat it again, then massage again. This cuts down the time of massaging a bruise in about 50%. Tense and it vibrates. And you can feel the heat going into that spot. For sinus congestion and stuffiness of the head. I need somebody up here as a guinea pig to work on it. Okay, come on up. But you do this with both hands. You start just above the bridge of the nose with the thumb. You massage over the eyebrows, out above the ears, and with the fingers follow right on down to the base of the neck. Do this on both sides. Taking little short strokes. And then, with your fingertip, massage underneath the eyebrow, up in the inside of the eye socket, pressing against the bridge of the nose, and work right above and against the eyeball, but outside the eyelid. And again, come back here and go over the ear. Then, with your thumb, work under the eye, over the cheekbone, and massage over the cheekbone. Back out over the ear and down again. Then again underneath the cheekbone. Now this will stimulate the sinus nerves inside this sinus pocket, and the sinus pocket right behind the eyes here. You get all of them by this type of massage. First here, then here, then here, then here. And then after you've done that, use your ki. Now you'll feel this all the way through, and this will start your nose running if you have a stuffy nose. Feel that one? Okay. That's the type of ki you want to use, and do that 10 or 15 times. Then the same pressure that you gave a while ago for the headache massage, right here. Do this about 3 or 4 times. Then have them sit up with their head, do that shaking. Relax here. Feel the vibration of that? Okay. You feel four individual blows.
Yeah, I learned how to do that a long time ago.
And the vibration of that is what shakes the sinuses, and when you shake them, it starts to ring. You have massage with your fingertips and with the heel of your hand down both sides of the back. Then you start with the forearm. Now you place the forearm across the neck. Remember, always, this part of the forearm is perpendicular. Never here, never here. Perpendicular. And you press very gently, and then a relaxed motion like so. Now you don't press hard enough to hurt. If it hurts them, they should tell you that it hurts, then you should let up. Now after you get down to the back, you work parallel with the backbone. You do not work on the backbone, you work beside it. The same as you did with your fingers and with the heel of your hand. And you take tiny steps, just like you did with the hand massage. Working parallel with the backbone. Down to the bottom of the ribs, and there you stop. Don't massage this part with the elbow or forearm. Then start up at the top, right at the base of the skull. When you get to the shoulders, switch around parallel with the backbone, and come down like so. Now don't try to work fast because that's tense. Don't try to work slow because that's tense. Make it a relaxed motion. Your hand should be relaxed. I'm pressing about 5 pounds, I guess. Not a great deal. Then when I want to work on that side, turn the head over and do the same thing on that side. Again, you work parallel with the backbone, and you work with the arm that's toward their head. And the person that's on the bottom, if they touch the backbone or the elbow, tell them so right then. Because you can cause a bruise that way that will last for a long, long time. So do not touch the backbone with your elbow, only with the muscles of the arm. Little pocket right there, and you put the point of your elbow in that pocket. Don't put it on the hip bone, don't put it on the backbone. Put it right in that little hollow. And then you massage diagonally across the backbone, pressing forward, like so. Okay? Of the forearm. So that you're not using the whole forearm, you're just using about 3 inches of it. And your shoulder stays perfectly still. Your forearm is relaxed, so this muscle is relaxed. If you tense this muscle up, it's not going to do half as much good as if you relax it. The working of that wrist makes this muscle bulge and then relax it. That gives you the massage. Sciatic area, the sacroiliac area. Now you can't go right directly across it because if you do, you put pressure on the lumbar vertebra, which is harmful. But going diagonally across the pelvic cradle there, you massage the muscles and the nerves without putting pressure on the vertebra itself. And you get the same result without straining it or causing it any damage. From here, or from over here, or this way. Keep it perpendicular. And you press just gently, and your shoulder does not move, just your forearm. And then after you get off the neck, then you go parallel to the backbone until you get down below the scapula. Then and you turn out parallel with the ribs, but you keep off of the backbone with your elbow. Your elbow is never on the backbone. And you massage to the bottom of the ribs and stop. Then start over. Now you do not press hard enough to hurt, just gently, and then massage with the muscle here. And after you massage this side a couple of times, turn the head over and do the other side the same way. If you stay on up, there are two hollows on one on either side of the backbone, just above the hip bone. You place the point of your elbow in that one. Now you don't press, you just place your elbow there. Then you massage with your forearm diagonally across the lower back. Then you turn and do it the other direction. And remember, it's not a tight or a slow. This is also tense. It's a relaxed motion. Okay, so when a person takes a bad fall and falls on their back or gets hit in the stomach, sometimes they can't breathe. Their diaphragm is locked. And I'll show you how to loosen that locked diaphragm. Will you come up here, please? So the first thing you do is to get him to lie down. So make him lie down and stretch out. And even if he's bringing his knees up because of the pain, tell him to relax. Now this is part of the relaxing is to get him to straighten out. When you can get him to straighten out, then stand straddle of his feet, reach underneath his hip bones, lift. Then push on his ribs. Lift. Push on the ribs. Now you can do that either when he's lying on his back or when he's lying on his face. It works both ways. If he's lying on his face, again, lift under the hip bones and push against the rib cage. This causes him to breathe. This is an artificial resuscitation arc. Helps him to breathe. At the same time, it relaxes the locked diaphragm. Now, I have seen in judo tournaments and out on the baseball field, once when a person got his blow in the stomach and his diaphragm locked, grabbed a hold of his belt and tried to lift him up with a belt, up and down. If somebody did that with me, as soon as I could get my breath, I think I'd kick him. It doesn't do any good, and it certainly is uncomfortable. Put your hands underneath the hip bones, lift, then push on his rib cage. Do that 3 or 4 times, and he can breathe easily. I will assume that the organ on this side has been kicked. This is the side that hurts. So I kneel on this side, put my foot under his armpit, this one about even with the knees, so my feet are quite far apart. The outside arm I put underneath the knee, take hold of my wrist. I lean forward. Now my arms don't move back and forth, they stay straight. I start just below the ribs, press and scrape downward to the thigh, and then as I get to the thigh, I turn toward the leg. You notice I move this knee as I do that. Now this motion of the leg will do it in time, but this speeds it up a couple of 100%. The palm of the hand straight down until you get clear down to the groin area, then turn to the side. Now what happens when a person is kicked or hit with a baseball or some instrument in the groin is that the organ is jerked up into the abdomen, way up into the body. And this hurts. It hurts sometimes to the point where it'll knock a person out. And quite often, people have had to go to bed for 2 or 3 days from this. If you use this type of treatment, it relaxes the tension, drops the organ back in the sacrum where it belongs, and relieves all of the pain. You can go right back in and play the game again within moments, you can be back to normal. Where if you wait for nature to do it, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 days. But you can do it this way in just a few moments. Now, if both sides are hit, you do it on one side first, then you go over the other side and switch positions and do the other side. And as soon as the organ drops back down, the pain will leave, and they can go back into play. Now, the next day, they might feel a little bit of soreness, but no tension like you would have otherwise. But
Do you do this while a person's unconscious if it does put them
Sure.
into that state?
sure. If you do it while they're unconscious, as soon as that pain's gone, they'll come to and come right out of it. And they're going to be in such pain that they won't even feel the pressure. All they'll feel is a relief when you've got their organs back in the correct position. And they won't feel the pressure of the fingers at all. All they'll feel is a relief when the tension is gone. If you're pressing on a person and you feel them tense up a little bit, that means it's uncomfortable. Okay? Ease up. Just go through the motions. You can go through the motions just pressing this hard and still do it correctly as long as you don't hurt the person. And when somebody's working on you, if you press too hard, tell them to knock it off. You got a free foot here, if they don't, kick them in the teeth. And here are the ribs. There are 4 points that you work on. And they are just inside the hip bone and just under the ribs. Now, you work clockwise. Why?
The way the food moves through your body.
That's the way
Pardon?
it's
The way the food moves through your body.
That's right. That's the way the intestines are laid out so that the direction of motion inside them is clockwise. And it doesn't make any difference which of these 4 points you start. But you start just inside the hip bone and you do a very easy finger massage. You move up to this one. Now you move clockwise in your positions as well as clockwise in your motion. Now if you're a right-hander, the motion is backward to what you usually do. It's a clockwise motion regardless of whether you're left or right-handed. It comes natural for me being a left-hander or working left-handed, but it's clockwise. And you work around now to tell how hard to press until it becomes a little uncomfortable and you feel them tense up a little bit, then ease up. And you work like this, and do this for about 10 minutes. And after you've done that for about 10 minutes, then you place an elbow in one of these points. You press just a little bit, and then you work directly opposite toward the other one. And again, you work clockwise. And after you've gone around with your elbow 5 to 10 times, then you place your hand right in the middle of their abdomen like this, and you roll it just like a plate rolls on the table. Keeping it wide, pressure just on the outside edge. And you go around like this about 5 or 10 times. And after you've done that, tell them not to get far from home. I do that with my jiu-jitsu arts. I went back to New York and I was introduced into a gym in New York. There were about 40 black belters around. The man who owned the gym said, "I'd like to introduce Professor Estes. He's a representative of the Code-Incon system." And he said, "I'll tell you beforehand, I don't think much of it." Well, you better not tell me that unless he wants to back it up. I said, "What arts don't work?" He said, "Any of them." I said, "Name one." So he did. I said, "Come out here on the mat and we'll find out." Well, he had back trouble. He couldn't come out on the mat, but he sent one of his brown belters out on the mat, a fellow who was a taxi driver, weighed about 240, and he was about my height, and a pretty husky boy. And this guy was not going to be thrown that particular art. Well, I threw him, and he said, "You tricked me." I said, "No, I didn't. I'll do it again in slow motion." So he got up, and I threw him again. And he said, "Well, there's another art that I don't think works." I said, "Name it." So he named it, and I helped him with that one. And finally, he sat there on the mat, and he looked at me, and he looked around at the other guys, and using his words, he says, "Listen, you guys, if these guys say an art work, you guys better believe it." And he went with us all around during that tour, and every place we went, he said that. He said, "Don't you ever doubt what these professors tell you. When they tell you an art works, you better believe it." That's the way with these massage arts. They do work. Some of them are rather ridiculous in appearance, and they seem to be weird, but they work. that's the beautiful part of it. And when you find a person with a headache or any kind of a pain, and you can take it away, who cares how? As long as you can do it, that's enough. That's what this... You can relieve arthritis with Japanese massage. So I'll demonstrate for you. Now, I'd like to have somebody come up here who has loose trousers that they can get their trousers up above the knee so I can work on the knee, and I'll show you how to massage the knee. Okay, fine. The rest of you come up close enough so you can see. Now, when a person has arthritis of the joint, they get inflammation in the joint, and it hurts to move. And you don't move, and when you don't, nature starts to weld that with calcium. And the first thing you know, you've got a stiff joint. You've got to work the joints when you have arthritis. Now, the first thing you do is find the crack in between the bones there. And with your finger, you work inside the joint, right down in the joint between the two bones. And you work all the way around. Then you relax the leg, and the people they don't like it because it really hurts. But the next day, they feel so good that they come back for another treatment. And it isn't very long until all of the pain is gone. Now, we have one lady that we gave this massage to. Her knees were stiff until she couldn't bend her knees even that much, nor her hips. And her arms, she could get them out about this far from her body, and that's all. And her doctor told her that she could look forward to the rest of her life in a wheelchair. Today, that lady, she lives out on West 12th Avenue, right about a house or two beyond Holly. And she rides a bicycle, she hikes, she swims, she does all of her housework. She takes care of, her husband has a bunch of lambs over in Orland. She goes over and takes care of them, sheep. Does all of her yard work and everything, and she does dressmaking. And she can bring her arms up above her head like that now, and she can kick herself in the chest with her knee, and she can do any exercises that you can, because we kept at this massage, and it took about a year. And now the arthritis is all gone, and she does exercises to keep her joints limber, and it hasn't come back. She's getting along beautifully.
Does that massage apply to like an injured joint or something?
An injured joint? Yes. If you
inflamed to the twist, or
like you have a twisted knee, yes, it does, because when you have a twisted knee, you've got damaged cartilage in between the bones. And what you want to do is get in there and massage that cartilage to stimulate the circulation so the blood can get in there and replace the damaged cells with new ones. When that happens, the thing is gone, yes?
will it work when they've had the cartilage removed?
If they've had the cartilage removed, then you'll probably have to take something to lubricate that cartilage. And if you do, the best thing I have found for that is White's concentrated cod liver oil pellets. And if you'll get those and take them after at least a 6-hour fast, which means early in the morning. So the first thing in the morning, get up and take one of these cod liver oil pellets with just a swallow of milk or water or whatever you want to use to get it down. And then don't eat or drink anything more for at least 1 hour, preferably longer. If you eat right away or drink something right away, then the pellet is digested and goes right on through you. But if you don't eat anything, then it's assimilated into the bloodstream and goes right to the joints, where it does a good job. And it loosens them up, yes. White's concentrated cod liver oil pellets, yes. They cost about $3.50 for 100 of them. Yes.
I can see, getting to exposed joints like the elbow, the wrist, the knee. But what about like, the hip and the shoulder?
The same thing applies to the hip. This lady I'm telling you about, her hips are so stiff she couldn't move her legs at all. When she walked, she had, 8 minutes, 7 or 8 minutes per joint. And then after that, it only took about 20 to 30 minutes, which is about 5 minutes per joint, roughly. Yes.
Do you have to continue treatment with her? Or
No, I don't treat her anymore now. She doesn't need it now. She does exercises to keep her joints limber, but she doesn't need any more treatments. And once in a great while, she'll throw her back on her place, and she'll come down and ask me to massage her back because her back hurts. But outside of that, why, she never has to bother anymore. And yes,
I've had trouble with that in my fingers. I'm a pianist. So it works the same way, and you just...
that's right. If you've got a finger that, see, I've got one right here that if I leave it alone, arthritis will cause the calcium to form in there, and it'll swell up and get sore. So I just take it like this, and I make it work. Yeah, really, really make it work. Just flip it back and forth like that, and then I massage it this way, real hard. And after I do that, I can move my fingers, no problem. Otherwise, I would have stiff fingers on this hand, but I don't, because I keep moving. You can't just do this. You've got to really, really work at it hard as you can, and that'll keep them loose. And keep your feet healthy and flexible. I told you that I would tell you how never to sprain your ankle. Last week, when I was coming to class, I put my car over across the street, and I started across the street, and a car was coming up there with a couple in it, and I stopped and stepped back to let them go by, and I stepped on a place where the pavement was cracked. There was a hole there. I turned my ankle, and I went down and sat on the pavement. My ankle turned, but it didn't sprain. It didn't hurt at all. I sit there feeling kind of foolish, and they rode up beside me and stopped, and they said, "Are you hurt?" I said, "Only my pride." It didn't hurt me a bit. I wasn't even jarred, but I was disgusted because I let myself go down. But it's better that than get a sprained ankle. But when the ankle turned, I just went on down, relaxed. It didn't hurt me a bit. Now, how to learn to never sprain your ankles? With your shoes on, practice turning your foot over until you can touch your ankle bone to the floor. Now, to start with, you can't do it. But just keep turning it a little bit every day. And when your ankle bone goes down so it'll touch the floor, then you can stand on it that way and it won't hurt you. And your ankle will turn, but it won't sprain. Now the same with your toes. Learn to stand on your toes this way. You can't do it right off. You have to work up to it. Finally, you can come up and stand on your toes. And when you advance that far, you'll never have another stuck toe as long as you keep your toes that limber. I haven't had a sprained ankle or a stubbed toe. And take a clean handkerchief and put it around your finger and thumb. Place it on either side of their nose so that the edge of it goes right in the side of the eye socket. And then press back in till you get behind the nose and then squeeze. Now, if you do this with yourself, you'll find that it'll give you a headache if you do it real hard. It'll give you a headache. And the reason for the cloth over your fingers is because if you have a snagged nail and you touch your eyeball, you can blind yourself or blind the person you're working on. And the person who you're sobering up, I don't care how meek they may be ordinarily, they'll come out of it fighting. And they'll really battle because they think they're being killed. It smarts, but it does sober them up. Now you can take a person who, like I told you before, who's so drunk you can kick him and they won't even feel it. And in 10 seconds or less, with that pressure back in there, you can sober them up till they can drive home safely.
How does that work?
Pardon?
How does it work?
It wakes up the optic nerve, which alcohol puts to sleep. And it wakes it up so that it'll stay awake for a while. It doesn't help you in the morning after. That's something you've got to face on your own. Pardon? As far back in as you can press. Press back enough to make their eyes move out of the way, and then squeeze in behind the bridge of the nose. And when you do that yourself, you see a ball of fire there. I do, because it really hurts. But This will sober a person up so that they can drive home safely. I used to be, about 40 years ago, I was on the police department here in Chico, and we had about 15,000 GIs out at the airport in the barracks out there. And those guys that come to town, they'd go to one of the bars, and they'd get drunk, and the MPs found out about me being able to sober people up. So whenever they had somebody that was so drunk that they couldn't get him in a Jeep to take them home, they'd ask me if I'd come down and sober them up. So I'd come down and sober them up, and then they'd go home, and they wouldn't even get on report. Well, that got to be kind of a habit, so almost every night they call me 2 or 3 times to sober somebody up so they can go home. They really like that.
And it works every time?
It works every time. I have never had it fail yet. The only thing to remember is have somebody hold their hands, because when they come out of it, they're going to come out swinging. And they just stretch it. Then it'll straighten right out. Reach inside, around, and take hold of your toes. That turns your foot out, yes. And just stretch it, and you're kneeling. I have a knee here that I injured in football, about 50 years ago. And sometimes it slips out of place, and I can't straighten it out. It'll go out that far, and it won't straighten out. I can do this and snap it back, and then it'll go in. Work beautifully. I guess a nerve or one of the tendons gets inside the joint, and it just won't work. But I can do that, go right on walking or whatever I'm doing, and it doesn't bother me at all. Now this can be from electrical shock. It can be from a regular cardiac arrest. It can be from sometimes when a person's so frightened their heart will stop from that type of shock. When it does, you can start it up again in just a few moments. You want to sit over here. Sit in this position, the hand next to you put over your knee. Your free hand, reach down and hook underneath the armpit. Now, keep your head from over theirs, because when you hit this nerve that I'm going to show you, their head will snap up like that. Now just relax. Now, there's a big joint right here on the top of the last cervical vertebra, or the last thoracic, where they come together. There's an extra large vertebra there. Cup your hand and place your big finger on that one, and then strike a concussion blow like that right here. See the reaction? That's a stimulant to the heart. And that harder blow will stimulate the heart and start it up again. Yeah.
No matter which side you do it on?
It's from the center.
No, I mean, which side
No,
you're on?
whichever hand you want to use for this, you can use. It doesn't make any difference which side you work from. But it's right directly in the center, and it's just 3 vertebrae down from this large one, between the 3rd and 4th one down from that large one. So you place your finger on that one, and then it's a glancing blow like this, concussion blow. Not a beating blow, but a concussion blow.
Or do you do it enough, like?
Well, if you do it once and the heart stops, that's enough. If it doesn't start, okay, then keep it up till it does. This has the same effect on them as a doctor shooting adrenaline into the heart muscle with a needle. It works. Now, there are 2 or 3 other ways I'll teach you too, but I want you to practice this one first. Now, don't do this more than 3 or 4 times at a sitting, because you can overstimulate the heart and stop it. If you just beat like this 10 or 15, 20, 50 times, it might stimulate the heart to the point where it was overstimulated and it quit. The collarbone and up directly between the points of the shoulders, there's what is called the sympathetic occipital nerve. We call it the carotid nerve for short. And you, right on the side of your neck, if you feel on the side of your neck, there's a little wire, feels like in there, that it's real sympathy of caring about other people. If you care about them, you can help them. If you don't care, you can't help them. You might be able to do them some good up to a point, but